U.S. Farm Report weather is brought to you by H&S Manufacturing. Maximize baleage yield with less time and effort with the LW1100 line wrap bale wrapper. You can wrap round or square bales, and the automatic operating mode allows for a one-person operation.
Well, more severe weather swept across Iowa this week, including areas seeing hail, and June is off to an active start. That's after a record-setting May. According to USDA meteorologist Brad Rippey, there were 3,800 reports of wind damage in May and more than 1,800 reports of hail of at least an inch in diameter. That is the second most on record behind 2018, when there were 3,000 reports of hail that size. But when it comes to very large hail, so which is 2 inch in diameter or greater, that hit an all-time record in May. And we are keeping an eye on that severe weather, but also the heat wave across the country this week. Meteorologist Martin Lauermore joining us now with your forecast. Martin?
Yeah, we're still watching the new drought monitor that came out this week, and it did improve in some areas, but not most of the areas. Now, we're seeing in parts of western Kansas where that winter wheat is being harvested right now, conditions are getting better. But if you're noticing these areas that were much more scattered across the Pacific Northwest, start to see a little bit more of that coverage increasing. Same goes for a lot of New Mexico. The only area in the country still sitting at exceptional drought right now in southeast New Mexico. And actually now, Florida starting to see significant drought conditions. They had a lot of wildfires past couple of days in southern Florida, and now we've got that severe drought now making its way through parts of southern and central Florida. Again, the only area of the country as of right now sitting underneath that exceptional drought in parts of southeast New Mexico. Now, estimated rainfall the next 7 days. Again, this is showing across some parts of the central part of the country, including right in central Oklahoma, a decent amount of rainfall. But everywhere else, again, this is for a whole week in advance. Not a whole lot. A couple little areas that could see some rain in the northern plains, but areas that need it in the west and, of course, in parts of Florida. Granted, it does show a little bit of rain in northern Florida, but southern Florida, that's who needs to see some of that rainfall over this next 7 days. Now, flooding potential will be there across some of those stronger storms on that Sunday. Should be starting to dwindling its way as we get into our Monday, but that jet stream showing the actual high pressure fading away. But as we get into our next work week, I'm talking as we get toward our Wednesday and Thursday of this coming work week, we start seeing that high pressure developing itself back in again. That's actually going to push its way into, get this, the eastern part of the country. Yeah, the area that's actually been staying relatively cool this past week. Going to start getting plastered by that big heat dome as we get into our late week. This is going to be just on the cusp of your Father's Day weekend. So if you've got any plans with Dad, it is going to be a warm one in any of these areas here sitting in this heat dome across most of the country. So keep that in mind as you're going to be heading off for any of those Father's Day plans. Luckily, with this actual heat dome, we're seeing that chance of those storms staying pretty low across most of these areas. So overall, it will be a very pleasant next couple of days, but with that heat dome, it's just going to make things still feel very, very warm. You can see, again, these areas of that very high pressure maintaining that right there is very hot air right there across parts of the East Coast. So we could be seeing those triple digits now replacing themselves from the west to the east. And luckily, again, the extended forecast hoping to see more of those low pressures cooling the rest of the country down later on next week.
Thanks, Martin. Well, international demand for pork has been phenomenal, and it's helped hog prices this year. But can it last? It's our discussion from right here at the World Pork Expo with Aaron Borer, Steve Meyer, and Brett Stewart. That's next.